you weren't supposed to find this. This is the anti-algorithm experiment. And the only way you should be seeing this is if someone shared it with you. I'm basically doing an experiment to see how many followers or subscribers or watchers or viewers, whatever we can find without doing any SEO, algorithm, thumbnail, tricks, tips, whatever it is. This is a fun little experiment for me just to see if we can ever gain some traction here. Shows really just talking about what I kind of like, basically based in some sort of relation to the internet and algorithms and things like that. So today we're talking about what everyone's favorite thing is, and what I'm kind of doing right now is when opinions become content. So this is mostly a free-form, loosely planned chat. So I have an outline in front of me here. My camera's here, but it's over there. So if you see me look over there, I'm looking at myself sometimes. But I have a rough outline of what I want to talk about and just kind of go off the top of my head. Again, this is a whole experiment to try to see if you can even get something to gain traction like this. So we're talking about opinions becoming content. So, somewhere along the way, having a take is actually more important than just having a thought, just being able to parrot something you've heard from someone else is way easier than actually thinking about whatever the situation is. And, it could come from sports, politics, someone who thinks McDonald's fries are too salty and you actually don't think they're too salty, but you just heard that take, so you just repeat it without even thinking about it, that kind of stuff. So I want to start kind of back with early sport talk shows. For example, Jim Roman's Burning is a fun one. I always laugh at that one just because of the time he got beat up on TV. But that's an example, or basically just early sport talk shows in general, where they had debates, but they were kind of still rooted in information. So, for example, I felt they gave all of their stats and all that, and then kind of just talk back and forth, and that's what it was. But now it feels like it's just a hot take era, right? You're just trying to get out your thought as fast as you can, and that thought has to be out of this world, like crazy, like worst case scenario type thing, or just to be the first to have an example, right? So here's a good one, because it's happening right now in the NBA. So DeAndre Ayton, first 2 or 3 games of the Lakers, gets a combined 4 rebounds, and people are ready to throw him off the bridge. And he's now had, I think, at this point of me recording this, back-to-back games with 10 or 8 rebounds or something like that. So right off the bat, the Lakers fans and other general consensus was, oh, he's garbage. He's not a great center. How can you be 7 foot and not get a rebound? Blah, blah, blah. Now the consensus is, wow, they only have him for $8 million, and they could have traded for this player, and they would have been triple worth. So now he's actually really good. So it's kind of that era, right? I see it a lot in sports. But basically what we've, as consumers of information now, have is we value more of the fast, quick take than the clearly thought out take, right? We're once something happens, we're just constantly scrolling just to try to find something that we agree with what someone says, and everyone's also trying to post at the same time that message, that shared message that most people are going to have. I saw this post from I think it was House of Highlights. It might have been, and it was when Austin Reeves hit a game winner, and he's also a player for the Lakers. I'm not picking on the Lakers, but it just so happens that's what it is. And they basically, you watched that person's sense of urgency. So once Reeves hit the game winner, you see them pull the tape, post it on TikTok within 2 minutes or something, and they beat, ESPN, NBA, and all those guys at posting it. And he was celebrating how he was the first, and that kind of just tells you where we're at now. We're just so obsessed with being the first at posting something or having that thought or being that one. And that's kind of just like where we're at now, right? And I'm sure social media has a part in it too, algorithms and stuff like that, which again, that's what we're trying to duck here, or not duck, but we're trying to see if we can get any traction without any of that help. So, and kind of along those lines, like social media, when you post, it's just become like you're performing almost in a way. So basically, for example, like people who make mixtapes of players, so we'll stay along the line of sports. they're posting once that like love childs of like creativity, like when people would make mixtapes of somebody, or I don't know, like the flashy highlights with all the cuts and the music and all that. They're just content now. They're not like treated as actual art, which they are. I mean, it's crazy the amount of things that people can do, but the bar is set so high now for that creativity that it's discouraging others from being creative or even trying. So people aren't really watching. I don't want to say most people, but there's a whole subset of people that aren't watching sports anymore. They're just watching it to create the clips to post to the TikTok. I sound old. To TikTok, to Facebook, to YouTube, whatever it is. So they're not actually watching what's happening. They're just being like, "Oh, this would make a good. Oh, what if I brought this song in here?" Or, any of that. So it's just to create these reactions, these clips, and just to provide a space for people to talk about what they saw in the comment section. So it doesn't feel genuine to me. They're just creating a platform on a platform for people to talk. Which is great in a way, but it just it doesn't seem genuine to what they're actually posting about. I guess that's where I'm coming from. Also, kind of along the same lines, like people kind of post these, like, I'll call it half-assed posts because they feel the need to post, right? So take doing TikToks. I'll take my own experience doing TikToks. I wasn't very successful. I think I got up to 6,000 followers or something, and I just felt like in all of these things you read about becoming popular on TikTok or popular on YouTube, whatever it is, they're like, you have to post 24/7. Like, you're posting every single day. It doesn't matter what you post. You just have to put something out there so your stuff gets into the algorithm and it keeps moving along and moving along. But eventually, like, and this is what happened with me, like, I just got burnt out of it. Like, it just didn't become fun anymore. And so why was I doing it? On the off chance that something got picked up, like, yeah, I guess. But I mean, dude, I did it for consistently posting. I probably did it for 4 or 5 years, and just, I don't know. It just feels, you feel like you need to, because you feel like you lose any momentum that you might gain. So if let's just say you got a post that has 200 likes on it, and then the next post you have has 300 likes on it. Now you're on the third day and you're like, I got to post something because that post just got 300 likes. Like, what happens if it's 400? I got to post something. And then what happens, right? It gets 50 likes. And now you're like, well, damn it. Like, but I probably should still post again because I still have the 400 one out there in the ether. And it's just this constant posts and garbage. And it just becomes a hotbed of just half-assed work, essentially. But people reward, back to the topic of like the NBA, like the Austin Reeves example I gave, people reward those creators for doing that by talking in those videos in the comments, like, oh, Austin Reeves lost me on a parlay or whatever it is, because the algorithms reward those people by being first. So now you understand where I'm going here is TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook reward the folks for posting first by pushing people to them. So they're more worried about posting first rather than posting facts. So now I'm going to bleed it into politics or world topics where Now they posted first a half-assed story because they had to keep posting. Well, they might have screwed up in their post or not fleshed out something fully. So now there's outrage that's starting to build in the comments. And what happens in outrage? Well, naturally, they're going to fight in the comments. And there's just going to be the back and forth. So what does that do? That keeps pushing that content up and up and up. And it just rewards those who are first. I keep saying it, but I think I'm trying to tell you guys, like, just because someone posts first doesn't mean they're the arbiter of everything, right? But then because they post first, and because so many people are in those comment sections, now that's what's going on. That's the topic. That's how to cover that topic now. Political parties take advantage of that too. They're the first to get in front of us. I'm not going to say who or whatever, but they'll be like, oh, this is happening. And then now the other side has to scramble to be like, well, that's what everyone thinks is going on. So the other side now has got to do their research and form a fully formed opinion and come back a day or two later and say, actually, no, and this is why. But guess what? By then, something else has already happened. Something else has already been posted. So everybody now takes that topic that they had, that thought that they, or I wouldn't even call it a thought, but that general consensus that was reached. And now that becomes the truth. When, let me get my hands backwards here, but the actual truth came a day or two behind it, but it doesn't matter. It's done with. Who cares? We're on to the next thing. This isn't breaking news for you guys. I'm sure you all know this, but we're just basically reflecting on accuracy isn't what trends. It's more of your emotion and that first gut instinct and what people post, which is really where we are and why we are in the predicament we're in a lot of areas. Now, along with being first, you also want to make sure you're garnering people's attention. That's kind of the, I don't know if you want to call it the currency, right? So you talk about watch time on YouTube as an example. Like if you have a short that's 10 seconds long and you have a 20-second or 20% watch time, right? So that means that only people have made it through 2 seconds of that video, right? So, but if you have a short that's 10 seconds long and it's 90% watch time, that means 90, they got through the entire thing for the most part. So that's what people try to do, is to make sure they keep keeping your attention. So you keep watching it. So the longer they watch it, the more the algorithm's like, oh, people are engaged in this, and pushes it and pushing it. So things like this, what I'm doing is not having any of that SEO help, that hashtag help. And I don't have any music in this either. You probably hear my dog snoring or my baby monitor, but that's kind of the point of this, right? I'm trying to show, like, we've become so overwhelmed, I guess, short attention span with content nowadays. There's folks that listen to podcasts and shows on 1.5 and sometimes 2 times now. Like, we can't even sit and just enjoy like the common flow of a conversation. So it's to pull it all together, we have someone who's first that creates an engaging video can control the entire narrative on something when it's not the truth. And now, because of it, like, even you or I have to feel this pressure of watching or trying to learn about whatever the situation is, because then we need to have a take on everything. But most of the time, that incorrect video is getting pushed to us. So then our take naturally is going to be whatever comes from that wrong video. And that's kind of just made our opinions all, I don't know, not invalid, but it used to be something we shared, but now it's something that's like more of a performance, because you want to make sure you're echoing what you've heard and not what you feel. That was pretty good, actually. So I just want ideas now. I don't want to sit here and do like the react content. I want pace in a conversation instead of noise where it's just constantly screaming at you while you got Subway Surfers going on somewhere over here, and then you have like, I don't know, like sand combing over here or whatever the hell it is, you know. So yeah, so that's this episode. Kind of talking about, or not kind of talking about basically how our opinions have just become content for other people. So if you guys like this, want to be a part of this experiment, like, comment, subscribe, share it with somebody, because that's really the only way this is going to be getting out to people, is by sharing it with others, because I really doubt this algorithm's going to take it. So again, this experiment is just to see if we can move throughout YouTube's algorithm without doing any algorithm work. I'm not making a TikTok for this. I'm not going to do shorts. Maybe we'll have a Discord just for us in the line, but we'll kind of see where it goes. So thank you all for listening to me ramble this time, and we'll see you next time.